Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. I hope you're doing well. Happy New Year. I thought there was no better way than to start the new year by going over my reading goals for last year and letting you guys know kind of how I did, and then sharing my reading goals for 2026. So let's get into it. So my first big goal for 2025 was to read like 50 books. I said 50 and then tentatively 75 to kind of push myself. I hit 75 no problem, so that was fantastic. Yeah, I think it was a very achievable goal, which was good. My second kind of big goal of 2025 was to finish my physical TBR. I didn't do this, but I nearly did. I bought quite a few books last year, but other than those, I finished pretty much, I think, other than like 3 or 4 of the books I started the year with. But it was a fantastic goal for me to set because I think, I finally got through a lot of books that I've had on my shelf since I was like 9. So it was really fantastic to kind of get through that stuff. And it feels like I'm kind of starting with a clean slate now because almost all the books on my shelves are read and books that I love. My next goal, which was pretty similar to the last one, was to finish my Kindle TBR, which I did, and I'm so happy about. I had racked up quite the Kindle TBR because I would get like the Amazon first reads, and I would get random like daily deals for like $1 or for free. Anything that sounded mildly interesting, I would pick up. So they just all accumulated. So I sifted through and took about half off just because I couldn't be bothered to read them. And then I went through the rest and read them. A lot of them I DNF'd because, shockingly, when you get a book for free, the quality sometimes isn't great. But yeah, I'm very happy to have that done because it just feels like I can finally read the stuff I want to rather than having to, kind of check off this list, which is great. My next goal was to finish all of my ongoing series. I did not do this. I did make progress in every one of my series, and some of them like 2 books. And I did start quite a few series, which I tried not to. But yeah, I did not do this goal. I think as well because I have quite a few mystery series that I'm kind of okay with them continuing because they're like 10 books long. It's like they're all kind of not self-contained, but pretty much self-contained, so it's fun to dip back into. It's just like a comforting thing that I know what I'm gonna get, and it's kind of a nice palate cleanser. Versus like my fantasy series, which kind of just end up dragging. So yeah. So I only have a couple of those fantasy ones, so I'm not too mad about it, but yeah, it did not do that one. My next goal was to DNF 10 books and series, which I did, which was fantastic. I was definitely a completionist and would never DNF a book, even if I was hating it. I was like, well, I don't want to regret not reading it. But the truth is, my TBR is like over 350 books. I do not have time or want to waste time on books that I'm not loving. So what's the point? Like, why am I putting myself through this so that I can tick it off on Goodreads or get through the book? So yeah, I just don't think it was a good mindset to have. So I'm very proud of myself for this goal because it was quite tricky. But I think I've definitely like shifted my mindset now where I find it a lot easier to DNF these books because like at the end of the day, it is a hobby to enjoy, and I am looking for like 4-star, 5-star reads. And I think as well, I kind of feel like because I've read like specifically mystery, I've read a lot of mystery. I can go into a mystery that I know that I would have liked 5 years ago, but I don't like it now because I've read so much, and like giving myself the permission, like that's okay. You are who you are now. You don't need to force yourself to read that just because it is a decent book. You don't owe the author that to read their book. Like, it's fine. My next goal was to read less audiobooks. I got a little bit dependent on audiobooks just because I would listen to them while I was working or driving and stuff, and they're fantastic. It's a fantastic tool, but I just find that it's the medium that I retain the least, which does make sense, but it was just a little bit tricky because I feel like I was just powering through a lot of books just to kind of get through stuff. And as well, I was picking books that, like, if I was a book I was kind of on the fence about, I was like, oh, maybe I'll read that. I didn't want to like spend the time physically reading it, so I put it on audiobook, and then I would enjoy it even less. So it just like wasn't fair to the book. So I still think audiobooks have their place. I have quite a few of those like cozy mystery series I was talking about that I love listening to on audiobook, but I just wanted to kind of limit my use with that. So I didn't have like a measurable thing for that, but I do think I listened to a lot less audiobooks, and I like challenge myself not to reach for them, which was good. My next goal was to read more genres. I had definitely gotten into kind of a habit of basically just reading mystery. I hadn't even really read much fantasy in the past couple of years. So I was kind of nice to branch myself out and force myself to read more. I know that it is for the best, and I do think now when I go back to a mystery, I enjoy it a lot more, which makes sense because I haven't just been reading a bunch of them. But it's just nice to challenge myself and kind of expand my horizons. So yeah, I'm very happy that I stuck to that one. So overall, I think I did pretty well for my 2025 goals, especially because that was like my first year doing like booktube goals. Before that, I would really just kind of have like an idea and my Goodreads goal. So I think I did pretty well, and I think I liked the effect it had on my reading that kind of challenged me to, address some of my reading habits and my buying habits, which was pretty great. So now let's talk about my goals for 2026. So my first, the big overarching goal, how many books do I want to read this year? I know you're all dying to know. I did 75 last year, which was fine. It was pretty easy. But this year, I think I actually want to say 65 because I just want to give myself a little bit more time to read through stuff. And not that I felt like I was rushing in 2025, but I just think in my mind kind of slowing down a little bit because as you'll see, like one of my other goals, but I want to read a little bit more like denser text and bigger books and stuff like that. My second goal is kind of a twist on one of the goals I had last year, which was finishing my physical TBR. I'm not going to push myself to finish my physical TBR this year, but I do want to kind of pull from there first. I have about 5 Jane Austens that I bought, which is naughty and goes against my whole thing I was talking about only buying my favorites, but it's fine. And I don't want to read them like back to back to back to get them read because I don't really get to savor each piece individually, and that's not what I want to do for Jane Austen. I want to like really have my moment with each book. So that kind of thing. And I have 2 Game of Thrones books. I might get to them both this year, but maybe I'm wanting to stretch it out a little bit in hopes that I can, catch up right before he puts out the last 2. So I'm not really worried about this, but I just want to have it in my mind that I don't want my physical TBR to get long again and to have stuff sitting there for years and years and years that I'm not touching. Like it either needs to go or it needs to be like read. More continuations from last year. I would like to continue making progress in my ongoing series. I kind of always naturally make progress in my mystery series because I just enjoy them, but I do want to finish some of my fantasy series. And when I was younger, I used to read just back to back to back with fantasy, which I do enjoy that more because I feel like you're a little bit more immersed in the world. So I definitely think I want to like get those kind of finished. Or decide if I'm going to continue with them. The next ones are kind of continuations from last year, but I don't know that I'm going to say they're like a strict goal, but I do want to continue with like DNFing more books, leaning away from audiobooks, which I think are both like, attitudes that my mind has shifted now, so I don't really need to put it as a goal, but there's still intentions I'm like taking into this year and wanting to continue with. The other one that's kind of a continuation from last year as well is more genres. I did do it a lot this year, but I really want to push myself in 2026 and read like lots of random stuff. And I think I might do a whole video about that and kind of get some metrics for that because I really want to branch out and see what else is out there, which I think will be a lot of fun. So definitely want to continue doing that. I also want to read more like academically, if that makes sense, like kind of analyzing the text and really getting as much from it. I'm doing some like personal study stuff, which I really enjoy, and I would love to work some of these books into that where I can kind of analyze it like when you're in school and you get to like analyze the text. I think that's part of why I want to do less, like read less this year, so I can really spend my time with some of these books and just really get all it's worth and get all it like that it can offer, which I'm excited for as well. I think that'll be a really fun way to approach these books that I haven't done in quite some time. My next goal is to only read off my TBR. I am not I add like any book that I see that I find interesting to my Goodreads TBR, and then occasionally I'll go through and like see if when it looks like it's too big, I go through and see if any of them are like, oh, do I still want to read this? But I really do think this year I just picked random books sometimes because I would have a video idea where I was like, okay, I want to read this book and this would be a really cool video to do for this. So, I have one other book that would work. And I'm like, oh, okay, I kind of want it to be a bit longer and make it a little bit more in depth. Let's add another book or a fourth book. And then I'm just pulling random books. I'm like, this was not on my TBR. Like, why did I read that? And a lot of those books did end up being like enjoyable books. I just want to make sure that I'm not reading like random books just for videos, and that I'm actually like picking stuff that I think I'm going to enjoy. My next goal is to read more from my library this year. I read almost exclusively from my library with ebooks. My library has a fantastic ebook database, and I was traveling a lot last year, so I read a lot on my like ebooks, and I I love that format. It is my favorite, like I said, but I just miss physical books a little bit. So I would like to kind of take the time to like go into my library. It kind of goes against my last book because I was about to say go into my library and see what books are there and pick something out. Um, which yeah is literally not what I just said, but I would like to do that because it's a nice experience. I love the library. I've loved going to the library since I was a kid. Obviously, we want to support our local libraries. But I think it's just a good like I don't know, just expanding my mediums a little bit because I think I just miss the magic of reading physically a little bit. I would like to see this year if I can be someone that can be rough on my books. I am so precious with my books. When I move, I bubble wrap all my books individually. It takes me hours. I bubble wrap each individual book. I'm nuts. I understand that. Like I could be a quality control person. I like inspect it, and I do love that. Like I love having books that look nice on my shelves. I'm someone that when I read like a soft cover book, I hold it so it doesn't crack. You can call me crazy. You can call me performative. I don't care. I've been like this forever. I love it. Like I just like my things looking nice. I take care of my things, and it just makes me happy. But at the same time, when I read secondhand books, if it comes a little bit scuffed, you don't really care because it's like it's cheap. And I think I just kind of want to get a little bit more okay with that. I started annotating books last year. I annotated my first book really last year, and that was a big step for me, like put a mark in my book. So I think I'm kind of trying to build off that, and especially if I'm engaging with these texts a lot and I'm going to be annotating them, I want to be able to kind of throw them around a little bit, not intentionally destroying them, but just being okay with that. I did buy a book new last year, and it was damaged a little bit, and like I wanted the book, I want it from this place, like I just had to suck it up. And so I think that will be a good challenge. I don't know if I can do this. I'm not promising this, but I just want to see if this is something I can get used to. So we'll see. Kind of like I just mentioned as well. This is so like unstructured, so I apologize. But another thing I want to do is more annotating. I annotated Crescent City 2 last year, which I'm not sure if that video is out yet, but I'm very behind. But you'll see it at some point if you haven't already. But it was the first time I've annotated anything, and I really enjoyed the experience. I did go against everyone's better judgment who said, like, first book, don't annotate a long book, don't annotate fantasy. It took a while. It was a bit of a chore, but I really, really enjoyed it. I enjoyed the process. I love stationery, so that part was fun. And then it'll also be really nice to look back on. It was nice to like flick through. It's just nice. I liked it. So I think, especially because I'm wanting to like analyze text a little bit more this year, I think it would be obviously annotating will be helpful. So I just want to do that a little bit more. Again, I don't think I wasn't going to do that, but it's just popping that on the list. All right, guys, that is it for this very long, yappy, rambly video. I hope you guys enjoyed. Please let me know in the comments below how you did with your 2025 reading goals and what your 2026 reading goals are, or your life goals. I'd love to hear it. And yeah, if you enjoyed this video, consider hitting like or subscribing, and I hope to see you in another one soon. Bye!